Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and welcome to week 9 of the book report. It's March already. This year is just flying by. I got a lot of things I want to talk about today, so I'm going to dive right into it. One of them being my February reading wrap up, everything I read last month. But first, before I forget, so the Spinebreakers book club for this year, we're doing it as a quarterly book club. So one book each quarter, 4 books for the year. And first quarter, January, February, and March. So it's still March, so you still have time to join in and read Jurassic Park if you want to by Michael Crichton. I finished it already earlier in the year. Thought it was a lot of fun, super entertaining, quite different than the movie, which I wasn't necessarily expecting to be that different. But if you want to, you can still join in and read Jurassic Park throughout the month of March if you're interested. And the reason I bring that up is because we've chosen our book for the second quarter for the Spinebreakers book club, so April, May, and June. And that is going to be Winter's Bone by Daniel Woodrell. That's an author I've wanted to read for quite a while. He's kind of in the same vein as David Joy, Ron Rash, and stuff. And I've never read this book, obviously. I've never seen the movie with Jennifer Lawrence. It came out, gosh, it's probably been maybe like 10 years ago or so now, maybe. It's been a while. I think it was one of her earlier movies. But I've never read it or seen the movie. But we decided this over on Discord the other day. So for quarter 2 of the Spinebreakers book club for this year, so April, May, and June, we're going to be reading Winter's Bone by Daniel Woodrell if you want to join in and read along with us. I don't have a physical copy yet. I went out to some bookstores yesterday to try to find a copy. Couldn't find it, so I'm probably going to have to buy it online, which I don't really like to do with books because they usually come and they're dinged up or ripped or bent or whatever. I like to find them in the store, but I'm probably going to have to buy it on Amazon. But I do think it is available for free on Kindle Unlimited if you have that service and want to join in and read along next quarter, which is a month away. So Daniel Woodrell's Winter's Bone is the Spinebreakers book club pick for quarter 2 of this year. So that's that. And then speaking of books, I went out to 2 bookstores yesterday in search of Winter's Bone. Didn't find a copy. It is an older book. I think it came out in 2006. Not that old, but old enough where they didn't have any copies anywhere. But I went to Half Price Books in Joseph Beth. I picked up 6 books total. I was really only going to get that book, but I couldn't help myself. And Joseph Beth was having a sale. It was buy 3 paperbacks, get 1 free. So I had to get 4 paperbacks from there. Anyway, we'll go through these books. These first 2 are from Half Price Books. First one is The Heart in Winter by Kevin Barry. I honestly don't really know much about this one. I saw it on a few people's lists from last year that it was one of their favorite books of the year. I do think it is like an on-the-run kind of story where 2 people are fleeing from trouble or the law or whatever it is. And I do think it's a Western. It's set in October of 1891 near the Rocky Mountains in Montana. So I do think it's a Western. It looks like Tom and Polly are striking out west on a stolen horse, moving through the Badlands of Montana and Idaho. That's all I'll read about it, but I like Westerns. I read West earlier in the year and want to sort of get into more Westerns. I'm going to be reading Lonesome Dove later in the year. So this one looked fun. I really dig the cover too. The cover is pretty cool. This is The Heart in Winter by Kevin Barry. So I'm going to pick that one up. Move these around down here real quick. All right. And then also at Half Price Books, I picked up A Drink Before the War by Dennis Lehane. Last month, I read his book, Small Mercies. It was my first Dennis Lehane book. Absolutely loved it. It made Dennis Lehane one of my must-read authors. I want to read a bunch of his work now. That's how much I liked it. And this is book 1 in a series of his. The stunning thriller that kicked off the Kinsey and Gennaro series, if I'm saying that correctly. I think it's like a detective series. And you've probably heard of the movie Gone Baby Gone. That is one of the books in that series. So this is book 1 in that. I don't really know what's going on other than they're, or maybe they're private investigators, it says. But it takes place in Boston and stuff, and they're investigating crimes and whatnot. But if it's anything like Small Mercies was, I'm probably going to really dig it. So I picked this one up. This is only like a couple bucks too. This is A Drink Before the War by Dennis Lehane, book 1 in the Kinsey and Gennaro. I'm not saying that right. I know I'm not. Kinsey and Gennaro series. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I might dig into that one soon because I really, really like Lehane's writing style. And then these other 4 books, these are all what I got at Joseph Beth. the buy 3, get 1 free. First up, I picked up Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Honestly, I know nothing about this one other than I see people talking about it all the time. Everyone seems to really love it. I'm assuming it has to do with space. It's got the astronaut there on the cover. But other than that, I know nothing about it. And I think I'm going to leave it that way. I'm not going to read the back. I'm going to go into it blind. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller. I feel like all books are #1 New York Times bestsellers. I don't know how much weight that really carries anymore. I've not read The Martian either. I've heard that book is also really good. Another movie I haven't seen. I'm way behind on movies. I've got 3 kids. I don't get to watch movies as much as I used to. But again, I don't know anything about it. I've heard great things about it, though. Everyone seems to really like it. So Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir I picked up. I picked up American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. He's an author I've not read. I've got his other book over there, The Shards. I think that's his most recent book. And this is another movie I surprisingly haven't seen, which how popular that is, about Patrick Bateman. I've seen all the clips and the memes and stuff from it, but never actually the movie itself. I've heard this book is pretty grotesque as far as, Patrick Bateman's just, not only is he killing people, but he's just a despicable human being all the way around. So I'm excited to get to this one because I think it's kind of, I guess you consider it a classic that I have not read yet. I don't know if it's considered horror or not. I think a lot of people kind of lump it into the horror category because, he's killing people. But one, I'm excited to get to. One, I think it's kind of controversial. A lot of people talk about it. American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. And then I picked up East of Eden by John Steinbeck, another author I haven't read. It's kind of a repeating theme on this video. Lots of authors I haven't read. This is a Penguin Classics. I think everyone knows who John Steinbeck is. And I think this one's probably his most popular book, I would say. Either this one or Grapes of Wrath, maybe. One or the other. But I think this one it says it's his masterpiece. And it's all in California, the Salinas Valley. I think it's about 2 families, the Trask and the Hamiltons. And I don't know why, but that kind of reminds me of the Hatfields and the McCoys for some reason. I don't know if these families are fighting against each other or not. But yeah, I'm excited to read Steinbeck, try him out. I never read him in school or anything like that. And if we were assigned him in school, I wouldn't have done it anyway because I was bad at doing my work back in school. But picked up East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I think he's an author a lot of people collectively love. And I think that's probably his most popular book, if I had to take a guess. And then finally, the last book I picked up, this is The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder by David Grann. He also wrote Killers of the Flower Moon. I think he's got a few other things, a few other nonfiction, kind of true crime-ish types of books. But this is about, what shipwreck is it? Does it say real quick? So I'm not sitting here is it The Wager? Is that what it is? Yeah, The Wager has been chasing a Spanish treasure-filled galleon and had wrecked on a desolate island off the coast of Patagonia. So it's about that shipwreck. What is it? The book, Dan Simmons' The Terror, whatever ship that one is about. I started that book, didn't finish it, was really enjoying it, but got sidetracked like I do. Put it away, didn't go back to it, but I need to go back. But yeah, shipwrecks and pirates and all that kind of stuff, super into as a kid. I think all that stuff's really fun. So this one sounds fun. And again, it's nonfiction, so about, a real life event. The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder. And it's got some, let's see if I can find it really quick. Not spend too much time. Where's that piece of art at here? This picture down here is like, I guess showing you how to amputate a leg and stuff. Pretty gnarly looking. But yeah, this one sounds cool. I'm excited for this one. I read Killers of the Flower Moon. Really like that one. So looking forward to more of, what's his name again? David Grann's work. All right, so those are the books I picked up the other day. Was only planning to go get one that I couldn't find, so came home with 6 books anyway. So I think that's how it normally goes with us book lovers and book buyers. Anyway, so let's talk about my February wrap-up. What I read in February, I read 4 books. So not as many as in January. January, I think I've read 6, but I read some longer ones this month. And February is the shortest month of the year. And these are in no particular order. So I finished up Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I won't say too much about these since I've talked about them, in weeks prior videos. This one was an amazing read, 5-star read. Our main character, Demon Copperhead, his real name is Damon. Just a super sympathetic character. He's growing up in Appalachia, dealing with the opioid crisis and everything that goes into that. The class system of being poor, dealing with the opioid thing, lots of other struggles he'll go into that I won't say because they're spoilers. But yeah, really just how Appalachia is kind of looked down upon and all the struggles they go through. It's a heartbreaking read. I really, really enjoyed it. And the cool thing about this is Barbara Kingsolver, she's donated a lot of the proceeds to build like this center in Appalachia, I think to help out young women. So it's really cool. Great book, cool author, and what she's doing with the money behind it. But yeah, this is excellent. If you're into like slice of life stories and Appalachian settings and things like that, definitely check this one out. It was a 5-star read for me. Excellent, excellent story. Next up, I read Lure by Tim McGregor. This one's super short. It's just over 100 pages. It is kind of this little folklore tale about this mermaid that comes to this little fishing village and just wreaks havoc, just messes up everything. The people in the fishing village, they don't really know what to do with the mermaid. Should they capture it? Should they kill it? Is it a bad omen? That kind of thing. And it just, like I said, wreaks havoc on the fishing village. It's a horror novel, so there's lots of violence and blood and guts in here. It was super fun and had those folklore elements of, the myth and stuff behind mermaids and what they can do and the powers they have and things like that. So this one was really fun as well. A super fun little novella to kind of break up the bigger books. And then the last physical book I read, I just finished at the end of the month in February. I finished up Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Another 5-star read. I've already got 3 5-star reads for this year. Beartown, Demon Copperhead, and Small Mercies. And then last year, for the whole year, 2024, I think I only had 4 5-star reads. So I'm having a really good quality year reading-wise this year, reading lots and lots of good books. Beartown, it's about hockey. So it's a sports book, but it's not just about hockey. It's about more than hockey. It's about parenting and friendships and loyalty and betrayal and community, just a whole bunch of stuff. Another kind of slice of life book. It was much better than expected. Far exceeded my expectations. I'm not a hockey fan. I don't dislike it, but I don't follow it at all. I'm a sports fan though, so I can appreciate the sports aspects of hockey and everything. But I like this way more than I was expecting to. I've heard great things about it, but going into it, I was like, I don't really care too much about hockey. We'll see how much I like it. And I ended up loving it. Less so loving, not that I didn't like the hockey parts, but more the character work in here is great. And the struggles they go through and, the friction between relationships and building relationships and having them broken and everything. It was excellent. Excellent character work in here. 5-star read, Beartown. This is book 1. There's multiple books in here. I think it's a trilogy. I don't know how many there are. When I was book shopping the other day, I saw the other book, The Winners, which is in this series. I don't know if it's book 2 or 3. I didn't want to read in it because I didn't want to spoil anything for, the end of this book. I finished it up yesterday. Not yesterday. Whatever the end of February was. I don't know what today's date is. But yeah, Beartown was excellent. Highly, highly recommend that one. Even if you're not a sports fan, definitely check it out. Like I said, just the character work in there is outstanding. And then the final book I finished up for February, I listened to it on audiobook, was Danse Macabre by Stephen King. Overall, thought it was okay. It was good. I'm glad I listened to it. It's kind of his take on horror as a whole, as a genre, from like the 50s or 60s up to like the 80s or so. So like a 30 or 40 year chunk of time. He talks about books, obviously, movies, TV, kind of like radio and stuff. It was a bit kind of dry at times, kind of like a college professor. You're listening to him, talk about a class. But I did enjoy it. Certain parts of it, some of it, my eyes probably glazed over a little bit. But I did enjoy it as a whole. Thought it was pretty good. In the fiction section where he's talking about the different books, I did write down all the books that he went in depth on, such as like, now I'm going to blank and not remember any of them. Something Wicked This Way Comes, The Haunting in Hill House, a few other ones. I wrote those down. I think there's maybe 8 to 10 that he really went in depth in. And I think that'd be a fun kind of reading challenge to, go through that list and read all the books that he, kind of recommended and really, spent some time kind of explaining what he thought about them and what their meaning was and everything like that. A few of them I've read before. The Haunting Hill House, Something Wicked This Way Comes. So some of them would be rereads. But I think that'd be a fun little project to go through and read those books. And I also think it would be cool if he did like an updated version from the 80s until current, the next 30 to 40 years, and see what he thinks about, more current literature and movies, especially horror movies and TV. Because the TV stuff they talked about was like The Twilight Zone, and there was a show called Thriller and a few other ones. Not The Outsiders. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe I'll think of it in a minute. But he didn't really have too much positive to say about horror TV back in the day, and I know that's really improved now. TV as a medium has really come up to match movies and maybe even surpassed it a little bit as far as like quality is concerned. So yeah, I think that'd be fun. Not a whole 300-page book, but just his thoughts on the next after the 80s till current about what he thinks of horror now. I think that would be pretty cool for him to do, and I'd be interested in his thoughts about that. So that's everything I read in February. Had a pretty good reading month in February. Read some bigger books and 2 5-star reads, so can't complain about that. And then what am I currently reading? What am I currently working on? After I finished up Danse Macabre, I wanted another audiobook. So I was scrolling through on Audible, and I just went up to the search bar and typed free to see what free audiobooks were on there. And, excuse me. And The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, the audiobook of that was free, so I downloaded that one. It's the one that is narrated by Andy Serkis. I think it came out like 2011 or somewhere in there. It's a bit older, but I'm listening to that one. I'm like 3 hours into it. I read The Fellowship of the Ring a long time ago, and I've seen the movie, tons and tons of times, and the stuff that's not in the movie that is in the book, I'm not remembering any of it at all. So I must not have done a very good job comprehension-wise of really letting that stuff from the book sink in, because if it's not in the movie, I'm not remembering any of these other parts in there at all. I'm still not very far into it. There was a long prologue where it kind of went into the history of hobbits and everything. So we're still in the book compared to where the movie is. We're just now where Gandalf and Frodo throw the ring into the fire, and it lights up, and they discover it is, in fact, the One Ring of Power. That's where I'm at right now. But yeah, it's really cool. I really dig Andy Serkis's his narrating of it. It's great. And I'm probably gonna, the other two weren't free. Two Towers and Return of the King. They are not free right now, but I'm gonna use my credits and buy those two probably when I get done with this one and listen to all the ones that Andy Serkis has narrated, because I'm really enjoying this one so far. So that's what I'm currently reading. I'm not currently reading anything else. But next up, I wanted to read this one in February. I didn't get around to starting it, but it is going to be my next read. And that is Salvage the Bones by Jesmond Ward. This one takes place in Mississippi. I won't say too much about it because I've kind of harped on it the last few weeks. But a hurricane comes through in Mississippi, and I think it's really about this particular family and them either dealing with the, not only dealing with, the coming of the hurricane, but the aftermath of it and everything like that. I've read one of her other books, Sing Unburied Sing, which I really, really enjoyed. So I think I'll really enjoy this one as well. So this is going to be my next book I crack open and start reading is Salvage the Bones by Jesmond Ward. And then after that, I don't know what I want to read next. I'm going to be listening to Fellowship of the Ring on audiobook. And I don't know next. I'm kind of liking that feeling of, freedom to pick whatever. Because Paper Cuts right now, we're on a bit of a hiatus, taking a break from that for a little while. I don't have anything I need to read for a book club. I don't have anything I need to read for the Paper Cuts show. I don't have anything I need to read for review. So I'm like free to choose whatever. And that's kind of a good feeling because I haven't really had that feeling for quite a while, which is kind of weird. But yeah, just to pick whatever I want to read is kind of a cool feeling. So definitely going to be reading Salvage the Bones by Jesmond Ward. I might pick, is this the right one? I just picked this one up the other day, and this is on my, Salvage the Bones is too, on my 25 books I want to read this year, so I want to try to focus on this list a little bit. I just picked this one up and read part of the synopsis the other day, and it sounds awesome, because I didn't really know what it was about, but this is The Summer That Melted Everything by Tiffany McDaniel. I love her book, Betty. I didn't really know what this one was about, and it sounds wild. Where is someone had a cool quote on the back that I wanted to read. Maybe it's inside. Yeah, it's a Fielding Bliss has never forgotten the summer of 1984, the year a heat wave scorched the small town of Breathitt, Ohio, the year he became friends with the devil. So it sounds really cool. So I might pick this one up after Salvage the Bones because I love Tiffany's work, and this one's on my books, 25 books I want to read this year. So maybe this one. And look, take the dust jacket off. It's got cool painted on the cover. This is a super cool book, and it's got the like foil on the fire and it shines and stuff. Super awesome book. I love her work. So I might be picking up that one soon as well. But I've probably rambled on long enough. I think that's everything I had to talk about today. What I read in February, some books I picked up at the store the other day, the new Spinebreakers book club pick for the second quarter, and what I am currently reading and reading next. But I think I've got all my bases covered. But that's it. That's all I've got for you guys today. So let me know what you're reading down in the comments below as always, or if you've read any of the books I talked about and have any opinions on them, let me know those as well. But that's all I've got for you guys today. So appreciate you hanging out, spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.